Hey, my name is Mech. I work on a handful of projects regarding knowledge management tools, and really my goal is to help everyone in the world access free information in competitive ways. The websites that I personally look up to are Wikipedia, Khan Academy, openlibrary.org, and others that offer parcels of knowledge that you can string together and incorporate into your own learning. I like that Khan Academy has a curriculum where you kind of just throw yourself into the learning process, and then you're given new ways to learn um, the next step in your trail or your journey. Another tool that I mentioned really enjoying is Wikipedia, and on Wikipedia, I type in, Ben Franklin or something, then we magically see all of this structured information about Ben Franklin and the ability to click on a link and visit any of the informational pages that are proximal or connected within the graph to Ben Franklin. And I always wanted the same thing for YouTube. For instance, let's say I go to YouTube and I type in, what is recursion? And this is a type of search that I might do on Stack Overflow. Then I click on a video, and there's a bunch of intro matter at the beginning. So when is it going to tell me exactly when recursion is taught? Or if there is a concept, how am I going to know what that concept depends on? For instance, this video might bring up dynamic programming or memoization as being related topics to recursion, but only the author, only the producer of this video currently on YouTube has the ability to annotate their timeline and link out to other places. And so what I wanted was the ability to ask a question like, what is matter? And patrons in the community can propose or even vote on the best video answering what is matter. However, we can also specify a start time, exactly where the answer is represented.
The scientific answer is matter is anything that has weight and takes up space. You already know about weight, right? That's just how heavy something is. Like if you've ever been to a doctor's office, the first thing they do is have you stand on the scale so they can measure how much you weigh. As for taking up space, another way of thinking about it is that all matter has volume. It simply fills the area it's in. When you pour water into a glass, for example, the water's volume is the amount of space that it takes up in the glass. So all matter has volume and weight.
Whoa. So then she just moves on. But in this case, I definitely did not understand what volume was just from the explanation of the amount of space that's taken up within a glass. And so between 51 seconds and 101 seconds, I was able to submit a question on this video saying what is volume, and someone else has provided an answer so that when I look at this video's dependencies, I can choose to pursue or jump down deeper into this rabbit hole and learn what is volume. And of course, this video at various points within its timeline depend on other concepts such as what is length, what is area. So if I click on questions all the way in the top here, we can see a small overview of, similar to Stack Overflow, what topics or what questions have been asked by the community. And then we can submit our own questions, or we can pursue the answers. In some cases, there may be a video that's already been submitted by the community. In some cases, we will have to go on YouTube and submit our own answer, just like one would do on Wikipedia. It would be great if in the future, all one did is typed in a question like, what is recursion? And if the question had not been entered into the database yet, in this case it had been, but maybe we could say, what is dynamic programming is in there as well. What is coffee? I don't know. Here, presumably the UI could show you YouTube videos directly from the API and allow you to select one and connect it into Skillsera to say, this is the answer that I approve of. And then it would give you tools to annotate the timeline, such as to say, at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, we talk about dynamic programming, where at 3 minutes, we talk about memorization. And eventually, what one would hope is that we have something that looks similar to Medacademy. Oh, this is a website that I truly love, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to look back in the Wayback Machine because one of their features has kind of gone stale. So typically, I would go to medacademy.org, which advertises itself as this open source package manager for knowledge, which is just a lovely description. And if I click on, I think, browse, which will hit an error because the page is no longer available, unfortunately. Just let it try to resolve. Oh, maybe it's back up. Maybe they fixed it. That is awesome. So maybe I choose a concept from Medacademy, this package manager for knowledge, and I choose Bayesian naive Bayes. And what they do is they structure a list of all of the concepts that you have to learn in order to understand Bayesian naive Bayes. And here it gives you information about each step, but I'm going to toggle the view from the list view, which is what we're seeing now, to the graph view. And here's where it becomes really powerful, because you can imagine what we're seeing here is kind of like Google Maps. Here's the shortest path through the knowledge landscape to acquiring a new skill. And as you become more comfortable with each of the topics, you can click check, and then it updates the total amount of time that you have left on your journey. So I think it would be great if we're able to do something like this as a community, just like Wikipedia works as a community, but for YouTube videos, stitching together video explanations into this coherent curriculum or universal graph that everyone can use to plot their learning experience. And maybe one path works for one person, but it doesn't work for another person. And so at any step, one would imagine that there are many different paths that can be proposed by the community and can be voted on and annotated, such as this is for impatient people, or this is for people who have a strong foundation in mathematics. And as more people use the service and click off things that they've learned, we'll be able to use intuition, especially computational intuition or predictive modeling, to figure out what recommended path is best for someone's Google Maps of knowledge experience. I hope you've enjoyed this short demo of Skillsera. It's very early on in its development process. If you go to skillsera.org, you could try out the website, and then also on GitHub. Let me make sure I'm providing the right URL. There's github.com/Skillsera/Skillsera.org. All the code is open source. There's a short little essay here which describes most of the things that I've talked about in this video. And if you want to get in touch, send me a message at hi@mek.fyi. And I would love to hear from you. And maybe you have some ideas that I could learn from, and maybe something I could teach as well. I would just love to connect. All right, thanks all. Bye.